Hi guys, welcome to December Daily 2023 Story 23. And I'm going to be working in Photoshop Elements here, experimenting with adding some text directly to a photo. So this is actually an experiment. I have done this before, but not in this way. So you're along for a journey that is new to me. And if not new to you, then you can fast forward to where I get to my desk. But in the meantime, I am going to be making a title here, and I'm going to place it along this side of my photo. I have a guide mark here because I'm going to try really hard, really super hard, not to go past this mark because this is where the holes are going to be punched. Okay, so first of all, I want to start out with doing white. I want to do white text. So choosing the text tool, I'm using a font called Kocha, Cocha, that I've used in the past, and I wanted to use this in my December daily this year. It was on my list of things to add, and I just remembered it. So I'm not really sure what size I'm going to use. I'm going to go for 100 point because I want it large. And then, of course, the leading, I'm just going to do auto because it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be doing words individually. And then tracking for the moment, I'm going to leave it -25. And this is the tracking. This is kind of how close the letters are together. So I'll change that as needed. All right, so let's just start here and click in here. And the first word that I want to type, and I want it to be on its own line, is going to be the word your. So Y-O-U-R. Just going to click that there. The next one I'm going to be doing is, let's see, the next line I want to be crazies. C-R-A-Z-Y-S. Your crazies. And let's move. I'm just going to move these up here for now, just out of my way. Then I'm going to want to use showing with a period because that is the end of the sentence. That's a little large. So I'm going to have to resize some of these, and you'll see how I'm going to do that in just a few minutes. You might. This one's going to be smaller, so right now it's pretty large. I don't want them all the same size. Okay, so let's start with your. Let's see. This particular font has different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different options for different letters. So I have on my Mac something called Font Book. In an HP, I believe, it's Font Manager, but it will bring up all of the different letters and all of the different items that a font has to offer. And this particular font has some different options here. And here's an example. This is a U and it has a little dot underneath it. And I'd like to use this. So I'm going to have this open and then hit copy and then go back into Elements and double click. I only want to do the U. So I'm going to highlight the U, Command V. I'm going to paste the U in there. So you're going to see here that I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here. I am changing the font size of each of these items, changing the tracking of each of these items, doing everything I can to stay to the left of the blue guide. Remember, anything that you do, you can undo. It's not permanently carved in stone. If you don't like the way something looks, you can change it. Just take everything step by step, going slowly, making sure you like how it looks. Keep in mind that you want to try to line each of these separate lines up like equal distance apart. So as you're watching this and as you're seeing how I'm moving things around, keep in mind that you kind of want things to, if you want the lines to touch each other, then have them all touching each other. If you want to have them a little bit apart, make a decision and then stick with it. So all you're really going to see here as I'm doing this is just kind of me figuring it out, right? Just total experimentation and playing and, figuring out how you like it to look. The one thing that I do want to remind you of is that for the beginning of each of these lines, you want a part of the letter in the beginning to be on top of your subject, but not too much, because you're going to see going forward that we're going to hide whatever is on top of your subject is going to get hidden. So you want your phrase or your saying or your word art to be readable once we go ahead with the next step. That's the main thing to keep in mind. And then the other main thing is play around and have fun and just, just experiment, right? See what it looks like. If you don't like it, redo it, okay? So I'm good with my words, and we're going to move on to the next part. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out. And all right, so you see here that I have a little bit of space here, but I also have like way too much down here. I could leave it as is and put like a saying down here or something. Or I can go over here to the, let's see, the palette here. I'm going to hold down my shift, and I'm going to choose all of those layers so I could move them together. And I'm just going to move this down just a little bit and kind of look and see. I might need to go down a little bit more. Let's see. Let's see if I put it there. Then I'm going to have to mess with this one a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe I'll just go to the tracking and see if I can move this over. Yeah, I think that's good. And then this, and then this one as well. I think I've already done the tracking on this one. Yeah, so I might have to go down. Let's do a 70. Maybe a 75. Okay. All right, so this is my starting place here. You see how the words are kind of like going around her arm. That was what I wanted. So I'm going to hide these for now, just so that I don't accidentally mess with them. And I'm going to come back. This is my photo, making sure the background is selected. I'm going to do, this is the part I've never done before, so I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm going to do a select subject. And my hope is that it's going to choose her. Now I'm kind of looking, and I do see that it has mostly chosen her, so it doesn't look too bad. All right. Yeah, I don't need to be perfect here, but it has, you see the marching ants around here. So I'm going to go to Layer, New, Layer via Copy. So now I have her, and I mean, I could hide this. I could hide this. You see, that doesn't change anything. But I have her also in this picture, and then I have her also in this subject. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to move this all the way above all of my text layers so that she is on top. And then I'm going to reveal all of these to see how they look. Okay, so do you see what my goal was here? I wanted to have the words looking like they are behind her. And I'm just going to zoom in super quick, take a look at some of this to see how it looks. I may have to do some little fixing here. I'm going to make sure that she is chosen. I'm going to use my little eraser here. And again, I repeat to you over and over again, any mistakes that you make can be completely undone. So do you see how I'm just kind of going through and maybe removing some of the fuzzy edges, some of the fuzzy edges of that? Just a little bit, not a lot. I like to go stroke by stroke just in case I do make an error. Each stroke is kind of like individual. So if you're going to undo, you're only undoing like a little bit and not like the whole thing. So you'll see I'm just kind of clicking one by one. Okay. Yeah. I don't like the way her leg or the chair is right here. Oop, no, that's not going to work. Okay. All right. Well, let's zoom out again and take a look. I want to be able to read it. Okay. I want to be able to read it. Now, remember, I can always go and, again, select all of these, hold down Shift, select them all. I could move this around a little bit. Oh, it's not letting me move this around for some reason. Why is that? Let's do this. Oop. I don't want, that's why I have the eraser. I need to have the move tool chosen. All right, so I could kind of move this. I don't want to get too close to that edge. I could move this up a little bit, which I was thinking that's what I want to do. For some reason, I feel like I want this to be up a little bit. And then perhaps I will find a super cool saying or phrase or something. Another thing I want to point out here before I print this is you can also grab the edge of this and you could shrink them all together if you want to. That is also an option as you're doing this as well. Yeah, that's going to be completely up to you. You can pull them in this direction as well if you want to. And again, like I said, here you go. You want to try to stay. Now I know that this one, let's click outside here, that this one is a little bit too much over the line. So let's see if I push that in. See, I don't want to push that in because the S is going to get too hidden. So let's just click out. Let's double click on this because it is still a text layer. And maybe let's do a little bit of tracking, maybe a 45. Let's see how that looks. Did that bring that in a little bit? Looks like it brought it in a little bit more. So that's not too bad. Let's go with 50. Again, we're experimenting here. Let's do that. Okay. I don't know. That's kind of bugging me because I totally do want to stay beyond that line. So let's try a 60. Let's see how that works. Okay, I think I might be happy with that. Again, so the goal here was to have this text appearing as though it's from behind her. And you can do this with word art. You can do this with text. You can do this with a lot of different things. It's definitely a fun thing to try if you are interested in messing with pictures in Photoshop Elements. It's just a little bit different, and I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's a kind of fun way to add a little bit of extra onto your photos before printing. All right, so that is where I'm going to end up with this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do because this is going to be the first page of a 2-page spread. So once I get my act together, I will head back to my desk with this and I will see you there. Alrighty, we're back at my desk and I'm going to create my first ever felt numbers. And I have this nice piece of thicker, stiffer felt. It is white, and I cut these out on my cutting machine. So these are going to be adhered to this felt backwards because I'm not sure if it'll damage the felt or not with some score tape. And then you'll see I'm going to use scissors to just cut around these paper numbers to make the felt into these shapes. So let's give this a shot. So I will tell you that the score tape did not damage the felt. So you can put the score tape and do these right side instead of backwards. Again, just cutting around the edges. And yeah, I should have chosen some straighter numbers for this, but 2 and 3, lots of curves. But it was fun and they came out nice. So I'm going to now put them through the sewing machine. And here we go with some red stitching around the outside. Not perfect, but fun. That was super fun, even though my sewing machine stinks and it only stitches straight lines. It worked, and I really like the way they turned out. So I think you're going to see more of this from me in the future with December Daily. All right, so I'm going to create a pocket now. So I've just chosen any one of my patterned papers. To be honest with you, it will not really be seen, so I'm not worried about that. But I did want to use this wonderful transparency with the gold foil stripes on it. So I'm going to cut this because I don't want it to be a full page. So I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to take the transparency and instead of having it be like 8.25 inches tall, I'm going to cut the transparency down to about 6 inches tall across the top there. So that will make a pocket for us to create. And then once I'm done doing that, I'm pretty sure that I cut both the patterned paper and the transparency together, and I cut them 9 inches long. So I take about 2 inches off the edge of that because this piece here needs to fit inside. So 9 inches was the number that I randomly came up with. Once I'm done doing that, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive, just some temporary stuff around a couple of the edges because I'm going to run this through my sewing machine as well, and I don't want to mess it up. So that will keep them together so that as I'm running it through the machine, it will stay together. And here is the final result. So used some red thread. There you go. And I made a pocket. So that was super fun. I love to sew. I need a new sewing machine, but for now, a straight stitch is good enough for me. Here are my 2 numbers, and they are going to go on top of this pocket. So I'm just cutting the threads off of them because I had to stop and start a few times, so we have some hangers there. But there you go. That's how it's going to look, and I'm super excited. Okay, so I am going to be using these photos. These are 2 by 2 inches, and I printed them out already in 2 by 2 inches. Well, actually, no, I'm lying to you. They are about 1.75 inch square, and I'm going to use my 2-inch punch to punch these out with a white border around them. So you'll see here that I'm just going to go through. Earlier, just a couple seconds ago, you saw that I had a black and white version. That black and white version was a mistake. When I use my laser printer and then switch to my Epson, it always turns it to print only in black and white on its own. So I do have another set in case I decide to add some black and whites in there. This is a piece from a game that we played the night that we were together, and it was a bingo game. So the squares that are missing from here were parts of the game, and this was just kind of like the extra that held the squares together. So of course I said, hey, can I have one of those? They were only going to go in the garbage. So my girlfriend said, yeah, absolutely. So I put some photos on top of most of those squares. You'll see here, and I did the same thing for the photos, so I'm just going to explain to you. I went ahead and I adhered the one side on with adhesive, and then I turned it over, put a piece of foam square on the back, and put the second picture or patterned paper onto the foam. So that kind of keeps them in place very nicely. Here, I'm just putting some embellishments, and that was simple. You didn't really need to see much there, just kind of picking through and figuring things out. So here's my photo that I printed, and there's my words going around my girlfriend's arm and kind of coming out from behind her, which I love. Remember, you could totally do that with your word art. You could put word art behind things. You know, that the sky is the limit, right? You don't have to do text like I did. You could add other things and have them coming out from behind a person in a photo. And that is super fun. Okay, so I'm going to speed things up here so that you aren't being tortured, but I'm just going to kind of finish everything off in the pocket here. I'm not going to go crazy fast, but just a little faster than I was. So here are my felt numbers. I pulled out these dimensional star stickers, and I'm going to use one of those between the number 2 and the number 3. So I'm just kind of putting score tape on the back of these. I don't necessarily think I needed to because everything kind of sticks really well to this transparency, but just for safe measure, I'll put the 2 down first, and then I'm going to overlap the 3 just a little tiny bit. So they kind of are touching each other. And then I'm going to take that green dimensional star and I'm going to place it between them. So that's going to bring a little bit of color and also bring the viewer's eye over to this side because the white is kind of plain. But once I get that green star in there, it kind of draws your eye right to it. And then there's my photo, and I am going to take another one of the stars and place it underneath my word art. And then this star, I kind of didn't know where to put it, and I was laughing because I put it on her head, and I thought, that's so funny. But I did end up putting it next to her because I wanted to have the 3 stars so that you can follow through. This is the menu and the sign that she put on the door the day we had this get together. And then she bought me a pair of socks, and she put this little poem on the socks. There's a coaster, And then here are my cards. These are the vellum tags, and I just kind of printed on those and then put some text messages on the back. So I'm going to fold these up because I just want them in there for the sake of, memorabilia, right? All the ephemera that I have. And I'm just kind of sliding all of that into the pocket. And everything is going to be in the back. And then these two cards or tags are going to be in the front. So I don't know, kind of simple but fun. I really enjoy ephemera and I like to save things when I can. So this is a great place for that. So here we are in my album. This is the first page with my crazy friend Candy. She is so fun. One of the best people I've ever met in my life. Yeah, I could go on and on forever about how, some people just impact our lives in such a way that it's hard to forget or even imagine life without them. But she's one of those people. But look how the word art is kind of coming out from behind her. And that is just so fun. I hope that you guys try that if you haven't ever done that before. And then here is the photo of the pocket. So you'll see how the star just kind of it enhances the 2 and the 3. And I like that I put that there. It makes me very happy. Again, all of my stuff is just inside the pocket, ready for someone to come along and say, hey, what's in that pocket? Can we check that stuff out? And of course, I'm going to say, yes, please. And then here it is, what it looks like together side by side in my album. So not the most creative, crafty page in the world, but you know what? Sometimes just some pages just make us feel really, really good. And I think it was the story behind this page and the ephemera and adding the photos to that cardboard from the game. Like all of that just made me go, this is why I memory keep. This is why I scrapbook, because all of this stuff would be lost if it wasn't for me putting them in my album. So that's it, guys. That is story 23. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will get back to you as soon as I can, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the next video.